Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us tonight on Exploring Dream Vacations by Travel Pros. My name is Taya Clifton, and I will be your host tonight. Tonight, we are joined by the president of Travel Pros, Ms. Jennifer Garris, and our guest presenter tonight is Denise Frayne with Global Family Brands. Tonight, she's our business development manager. Tonight, we are going to focus on Globus tours and Avalon waterways. She's going to talk about the different types of touring that you can do, choice, Undiscovered and Top USA tours, as well as Avalon waterways and what exactly sets them apart with their river cruises and their small ships and how they just stand apart from everybody else. Just a brief little introduction. I'm going to pass it over to Denise.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. So we are going to talk a little bit about the Globus family of brands, and we figured tonight we'll focus on United States and also, like she said, Avalon. So we'll talk a little bit about our river cruising and why Avalon. So just say yes to travel. This is our marketing campaign right now, and I know I am ready to go on vacation. I am actually leaving on Tuesday, and I'm going on Avalon, and I am traveling from Budapest to Bucharest with Transylvania. And it's kind of funny because I'm sitting there with my empty suitcase going, boy, I am so out of practice, right? It's been a couple years since I've gone on a big trip like this, but I'm so looking forward to it. And I'm traveling with a bunch of girlfriends. So just say yes to travel. You know, we've lost a couple of years here, so we need to make up for lost time, right? So a little bit about the Globus family of brands. We started in 1928, so we are family owned, and we have trips all over the world, and we can get you there 4 different ways. If we went through all of this, we would be here live all day, right, for 24 hours, because we have so much to offer, and they can book any of this for you. But like I said, tonight we're going to talk about United States and Avalon. But let's say you're interested in Africa. We can get you there by land, completely escorted with small groups. We can get you there with Cosmos, which is a little bit more on the budget side. We have Monograms, which would be a private safari, or you can do it by river, and we have Egypt. So all of these destinations that we have, we can either do it escorted, we can do it independent by Monograms, or we can do river cruising. So I just wanted to let you know that we do have all of this to offer. Right now, we are operating everywhere except for Russia, choice few places at the moment, but everything else is operating. So let's get going. So Globus, these are land tours, so fully escorted. So we have our typical tours, but what we're going to talk about are all the different styles of touring that you can go on, but what's included in a tour. So Globus, we're not all inclusive, which I love, because let's say you're in Italy. We have excursions you can sign up for, but you know, a lot of people like me, maybe like for dinner, you just want to go down the street and have an authentic meal or a piece of pizza in Naples, and you can do that. So what's included with us are all the must-see sites. If it's a must-see site, we include it. Breakfast is always included, some dinners. Your motor coach transportation is all new with Wi-Fi on board. Hotels are in the heart of the destination. VIP access, we say no sad lines. These are all happy lines, because you know we book everything a year in advance, so you never have to wait in line for anything. So if you've ever been to Rome, we get in a half hour before the Vatican opens. You get a head start, you get a tour, you go into the Sistine Chapel, and you come out and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe these people are waiting in this line. And it is hours long, wrapped around the Vatican. And like I said, we're not all inclusive. So we give you freedom to go to the beach, to shop in Italy. I know in Spain, they gave us time to go to the beach. So you do have free time. It is your vacation. We have some optional excursions. Some people come on tour and they're like, I'm here to be entertained. Sign me up for everything. But then like me, maybe I'll do one optional. And that's if, you know, my husband's like, come on, let's do it. Or my friends, because you have full days. So your tour directors, you have one tour director with you the entire time, but then you have local guides. Like in Rome, you have a local guide. In Venice, you have a local guide that live and breathe these destinations. You don't have to worry about anything. So we have two different types of departures. Some are small group discoveries. So if it's Europe or United States, it's either an average of 28 passengers or a full coach is 42 passengers. The price point is a little bit different for the small groups. If you're looking at something exotic like Africa, Asia, South America, small groups average 22. So you have two different types of departures. So first I wanted to show you our two top United States tours. So this is America's National Park. So the way you read this map is the green circle, that's where you fly into. You'll see tours like this. You don't see it on this map, but some tours like this, it is an option to fly into Denver. Rapid City is kind of tough to get into. I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Delta is like one of the only, flights that you can catch into Rapid City. So we offer Denver because, you could do Southwest and there's all these different airlines. So you fly into Rapid City. All of the numbers are your night stays along the way. And again, it's all fully escorted. So you do Mount Rushmore in the picture. You do Crazy Horse. You go to Deadwood. That's where they have the shootouts in town and the casinos are there. And, it's this famous town with Calamity Jane. So you go through the Black Hills. You're one night in Sheridan, one night in Cody, 2 nights in Yellowstone, and we stay at the lodges. So one of the lodges is Old Faithful. You go to the Tetons and then 2 nights in Jackson Hole, which Jackson Hole, we stay at the Rustic Inn, which is like the best place to stay in Jackson Hole. And then you overnight in Salt Lake City and then you fly home, again, completely escorted. This is Yellowstone National Park. Doesn't do it any justice. It's funny because I've had people ask me, because I've been with Globus, we were talking about this before we got started. I've been with Globus 23 years. And those of you that travel, I'm sure people ask you, what has been your favorite place? And I really don't have a favorite, but I want to say the place I think that floored me the most was Yellowstone. It's so active with the bubbling mud pots and just the scenery. And it's just hard to believe that this is in our own backyard. So if you're thinking this year, I'm not too sure if I want to do Europe, there are so many tours right here in the United States. A lot of the national parks, but we'll talk about some other destinations. This is Jackson Hole. It's funny when you look at Jackson Hole, it's actually in a hole. It's like a little crater. And it is an old Western town, one of the bars that has saddles and you can go and sit on the saddle at the bar and you have free time in Jackson Hole to walk around. One of the excursions is a float ride that you can go down the river or, just take time and walk through town. I actually did this trip with my mom about, 8, 9 years ago. So you fly into Phoenix and you're out of Las Vegas. This is a shorter one. I know some people ask me, do you have anything shorter? We really don't. The only thing that would be shorter would be maybe Albuquerque Balloon Fest. But this one here, you fly into Scottsdale. So this one's a little bit different than the other one because the other one does Yellowstone. This one is into Scottsdale out of Vegas. So you do Sedona, Oak Creek Canyon, 2 nights on the rim of the Grand Canyon. You go to Monument Valley, which is in the background, 2 nights at Lake Powell Resort, 1 night in Bryce, you go to Zion and out of Vegas. And don't forget, you can always do extra nights before, extra nights in Vegas. A lot of people like to take an extra day in Vegas, maybe go to a show, spend some more money at the casinos, right? It's funny, Deadwood, I remember I went to, I'm totally blanking out. Who's the actor in the Yellowstone show right now? Kevin Costner, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I don't know if he still has the casino, but he had a casino in Deadwood. And I'm like, come on, Kevin, come on. I lost money. So maybe you guys will have some better luck, right? So we do have a tour. I call it the Mac Daddy National Park Tour. That is these two that I just showed you combined into one. And it's about a 15-day trip. So you can definitely do, and it's not all of the national parks, of course, but you can cover the main ones. So I did want to show you, these are the ones that are a little bit shorter. I go to some consumer events and people are like, I've been everywhere. do you have anything for me that I haven't been? And I'm rattling off all this stuff. And they're like, been there, done that, went to Africa, went to Asia. I'm like, I bet you haven't done the Albuquerque Balloon Fest. A couple years ago. It's actually unfortunately sold out this year because it was canceled for 2 years. So if you're thinking that you want to do Albuquerque Balloon Fest, you need to look at next year, and it's already filling up because now everybody's moving to next year because they can't get on it this year. So Albuquerque Balloon Fest, you go and you see the balloon festival, and then you also, the one night, what you do is you see the balloon glow, which honestly, I thought that was the best part of the trip. It's all of the balloons, they're all lit up and they're glowing at night, and it's at right after sunset. So you do Santa Fe for 2 nights, and you do Albuquerque for 3 nights. We also have a land tour that does historic trains, and it's Colorado with trains. You go to New Mexico and you do the Albuquerque Balloon Fest. We also have the Tournament of Rose Parade. So that's a short one too, just 4 or 5 days. We do a New Year's Eve party, and then you go and see the Rose Bowl Parade. This one here on the bottom right, this is Yellowstone Winter Wonderland. So it's funny, believe it or not, the tour director lives in Florida, and this is his favorite trip. So, you know, you get to snowmobile, and what's nice about this is the wildlife. They all hang out in certain areas, and there's tons of wildlife because it's so snowy there. So they hang out in the areas that's not so snowy. So we have some special events if you would like to do something like that. Undiscovered. So we started this whole Undiscovered series a couple years ago, and we started it in Italy because we were noticing that our Italy sales were declining because, you know, people were going other places. They were going to Portugal, Spain. So they did this study, and they looked at all the people that have traveled to Italy, and they noticed that people weren't going back. You know, a lot of people are like, I did Rome, Florence, Venice, but we realized there's so much more. So we started this Off the Beaten Piazza for Italy. Then we did Off the Beaten Path for the UK, Off the Beaten Path for the Mediterranean. And last year, because we did start up last summer, and then this year is Undiscovered North America. So we have several tours that are Undiscovered North America, but I'm going to show you our most popular one, which is Lost Canyons of the Southwest. So this one here is a little bit different than our regular national park tour. So you'll see this one is into Phoenix, but see, this one's a little bit different. It has some trains. So what's also different is you don't stay in the Grand Canyon. It's pretty cool. You stay 2 nights in Williams, which is an old Route 66 town, and you take the Grand Canyon Railroad into the Grand Canyon. And you have plenty of time in the Grand Canyon. On the way out, you stop at Boulder City. So Boulder City was built because the people building Hoover Dam needed a place to stay. So that's how Boulder City became Boulder City, and we take a tour of Hoover Dam, Boulder City, and out of Vegas. So this one is a Off the Beaten Path trip. So this is our second most popular one. This is Southern California Charms. This one here is in and out of Los Angeles. You follow the arrow down, Coronado. You come on down to Joshua Tree. If any of you are U2 fans, remember the Joshua Tree album? That's where that album cover was, that picture was taken. You do Palm Desert, Palm Springs, Death Valley National Park, come back around Santa Barbara, and out of Los Angeles. So this is Death Valley, just so you know. Look at the snow in the background. So Alaska and the Yukon, this is an off the beaten path trip with Cosmos. A lot of people don't think of us for Alaska, but we do Alaska land. So I took a cruise maybe 5, 6 years ago. I didn't have time to do the land. So now I need to go back and do the land, and I work for Globus, right? So I need to go back and do the land. Or if you get seasick and you can't do a big ship cruise, we have several land tours with Globus and Cosmos for Alaska. This one is off the beaten path because it comes down into the Yukon territory. So again, we're looking at all these different styles. So you can do small groups. You can do off the beaten path, undiscovered. And we also have another style, which is called choice touring. So I'm going to skip over the video because sometimes those don't play very well when we're doing this. So so this is choice. So choice, what makes these trips a little bit different is that you have all these different choices of excursions. So normally with a Globus tour, you have a packed day, but we will have some optionals. Like I just did Mackinac Island with my mom in September with Globus, but we didn't have any optional excursions. But on some tours, you may have 1 or 2, 3 optionals if you want to sign up for them. What makes these trips different, so you'll see the fun names of these in United States and Canada. What's different is that they have no optional excursions. So this is our most popular one, which is Sunny Days and Starry Nights. So this one, you fly into Billings, Montana, and then you fly out of Washington, and you'll see where the seas are. Those are the days where you have all of these different choices. So like in Whitefish, you'll see there are 3 different choices. They have, if you want to go do some, it's a brew tour of all these local breweries. You do beer tasting, you can take a float ride, or there's a museum that you can tour. All 3 of those are included, but you have to pick one of the 3. And then also in Big Sky, there's also 3 different choices. So, you know, there's a new TV show on ABC, Big Sky, and supposedly they film it there. So we have several of these choice tours. You'll see back here, you have The Bold and the Beautiful, Boogie and Blues, Mad About Mounties, The Sunny Days, Starry Nights that we just looked at, California Dreamin', and From the Top. And again, no optional excursions on these. And you have, like this one, you have 6 different choices to choose from. And small group discoveries we talked about. So that kind of sums it up for North America. Did we want to open it up for any questions and talk about river cruising, or do we want to save it till the end? Or are we not taking any questions?
We normally would do questions at the end if they come up in our chat.
That's fine. Okay, sounds good. All right, so we are going to talk a little bit about river cruising. So we're going to jump the pond, right? So most of our ships are in Europe. We have 17 ships in Europe for Avalon waterways. We do have Southeast Asia, the Mekong. That is the one thing that is not operating at the moment. We have Egypt. So we also have the Amazon. We have Galapagos, where we use a yacht. So we have all of these different, we also have India, which is the Ganges River. Trying to think if I'm forgetting any. I think I had them all covered. But the ones that we own are the ones in Southeast Asia, and then our European ships. We have a brand new one that's getting christened next week that is called the View. So our godmother is Meredith Vieira, the View, right? Makes sense, right? So when you look at the ship here, if you haven't been on a riverboat, when you look at the bottom there and the back part of the ship in blue, those cabins are 172 square feet. So one thing about Avalon is that's the smallest cabin, which is pretty good. Everything above that is 200 square feet with the beds facing out, and I'll show you a picture of that. When you're looking to the front of the ship, on the bottom, that's your dining room. Above that is your main lounge. All the way on the top, your sun deck, where you really need to be, right? Looking at the scenery on both sides. Then you have an area in the front there, which is a lounge, and then also in the back of the ship. We do have elevators on board that go between the cabins. So we won some Cruise Critic Awards in 21, which is a crazy year to be winning some awards, right? But we won Cruise Critic and USA Today's Reader Choice Awards. For Cruise Critic, we won Best Cabin and Best Excursions. So one of the differences with Avalon is 172 square feet. That's the smallest cabin. Some river cruise companies have 135 square feet, 150 square feet. Another key difference about Avalon are these cabins right here. Everything above the bottom, these are 200 square foot cabins with the beds facing out. So that is an 11-foot sliding glass door, 7 feet of it open up. You have a sofa right there, a chair. We call this an open air balcony. So all of the ships are the same. They all look like this. There are 2 royal suites on board, and those are 300 square feet. So it's great. You sit there and you just watch the scenery go by. So like I said, I'm leaving on Tuesday and I cannot wait. So we're going to get on board, look at a couple things here. So here is another view of the panorama suite. And sorry, my nose itches. So when you look at the panorama suite, the reason we call it the panorama suite is in 2011, we changed the design of our ships. So you can't really see here, but the wall behind the bed is on a little bit of an angle. What that does, it opens up the bathroom. So it's a hotel style bathroom, bed facing out. So again, if you hear me saying panorama suite, it's because we started with the panorama. That was the first ship where we changed the design of our ships. Now, some people are like, why didn't you put a balcony on? So if any of you have taken a river cruise, or even if you haven't, you know, the way that you navigate down the rivers and you go from river to river, they're all a system of locks, and that allows you to go from river to river, or even just city to city. So the locks are only so big, and these ships literally just fit within an inch on either side. So if you put a balcony on a cabin, you need to deviate from your cabin or other places. So that's why we made the balcony like this. So if you had a balcony on here, it would come to the bottom of your bed. So this way you have that 200 square feet of complete living space. Beds are a little bit higher. You can put your suitcase under, plenty of closet space. So nice size cabin. Here it is again from the outside in. So very nice. Here's your bathroom. So it's a hotel style bathroom. I still do not pack well, and I bring way too much stuff, but that's fine because you have this big countertop, you have a shelf. There's actually underneath, there's also a cabinet underneath that you can put some stuff. Big shower. It's funny, we had to put these reed diffusers for sale because they smell so good and everybody's asking what scent, so we started selling them on board. So another key difference here are the multiple menus and venues. So here on the bottom left-hand side, that is the back area of our main lounge. So we always have an early riser breakfast. We have it there. Lunch, we have lunch in the dining room, but in the back of the lounge is a light lunch. Same thing for dinner. Dinner is from 7 to 8:30, but we also have a light dinner set up in the back of the lounge. Let's say you don't want to sit down for dinner for an hour and you want to go into town, you can just grab something here and go. The top left, we have a continental breakfast that you can get delivered to your room. And then also we have a sky deck bistro, and that's 3 days out of the week. And it's, you know, just imagine you're in Vienna, right? And you're up there eating lunch. There's a guitar player. And then also we have bikes on board. So we have bikes on board with 2 e-bikes, which I would not recommend because those go way too fast, right? So you could take a lunch with you. A lot of people, they'll grab a bike, they'll go for a bike ride, and they'll go down to the next port, which you can do, or just, you know, go for a bike ride and come back. So for lunch and dinner, we have complimentary beer, wine, and then we have mimosas in the morning. We also have happy hour, which is 2 for 1 on everything, either an hour before dinner or an hour after dinner. Also, refreshments are included. We also have 2 cappuccino makers on board. One is in the back lounge and one is by the main lounge, and those are included also in the price. So these are just some of your lounges. The main lounge, the back lounge is on the bottom left-hand side, and then a little area out back here in back of the lounge outside. This is our club lounge, which is on the back of every ship. I love it back here. I like my cabin like right here because the cappuccino maker is right on the other side. So the reason that we have this club lounge is you can see it right there in the picture. Sorry, I have a barking chihuahua in the background. You'll see thrusters here. This is why we don't have any cabins back there. So you have a cabin here that is actually empty, and in there is where we keep like the bicycles, the walking sticks, the binoculars. We have an adventure host that does the yoga classes. The yoga mats are back there. So the only cabins that are back there is the crew, which is on the bottom. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at other river cruise companies, because they can put like their most expensive suites back there. So what makes us different? The views, the bed facing out, and we also have 3 different types of excursions. I honestly think this is one of our key differences. A lot of river cruise companies, they give one excursion and then everything else is additional. We give some days 3 different types of excursions. It's just, which one do I pick? So classic is a regular walking tour or a canal cruise in Amsterdam. Active is active. It gets your heart pumping. I took the most beautiful bike ride down the Danube. It was 12 miles. I took a bike tour of Vienna. It's absolutely gorgeous to do these active excursions. We have hikes, bike riding, canoeing, kayaking, early morning walks, which takes you to like the market. Discovery is a cooking class or wine tasting in a cave, like some off the beaten path museum. So 3 different types of excursions. So this is our most popular one, which is the Romantic Rhine. If you haven't been on a river cruise, I would say your best one is the Rhine, the Danube. My all-time favorite is Normandy's landing beaches. All-time favorite. You go see the landing beaches with the, all the history of the war, but then you go to where Joan of Arc was burned and buried. You go to Rouen. You go to Monet's house in the gardens. You go to where Van Gogh lived and where he died and where he's buried. And I mean, it's just such an amazing trip. The Danube, 7 nights. This is where you go through this Wachau Valley, which you see in the background. This, of course, is in the fall. I was there in October, and it was gorgeous. Back to the Rhine Gorge that you see here, that's where there's a castle on the right, a castle on the left. That's why these 2 are really the 2 most popular. This is also the Danube, and this is the Parliament at night. So when I did the Danube in 2019, we stayed on the Buda side, and it's the Hilton, which is a castle. And I just sat there at the window and waited for this to come up. And all of a sudden the lights went on and it's like, oh, so absolutely gorgeous. One thing also that we have with Avalon are short river cruises. These are 3-night, 4-night, 5-night river cruises. So if you haven't been on a river cruise and maybe you're just not too sure, you can take one of these and put land on either side. Or let's say you're doing a big ship cruise, you want to match it up with this, visiting family. So we have some short river cruises. This is also something new that we came out with several years ago, are these active and discovery cruises. I mentioned those 3 different types of excursions. What you'll find on these active and discovery is just a little bit more active and discovery excursions, but please do not let the word active freak you out and think that you need to be a triathlon athlete, because you don't. I was on board in 2019. I had somebody in a wheelchair, which I must admit on a river cruise is pretty tough, but he knew his limitations. He knew what he could do, what he couldn't do, when he could get off the ship, when he couldn't get off the ship. I had cyclists on board. They took the bikes on board. They took the cycle trips. I had people on board that said, I'm on vacation. I'm not doing any of this active stuff. And they still had full days. What makes these different is that they're more port intensive. On the Danube, you're in Vienna for 2 full days and you cruise more during the day. So what these cruises do is they'll cruise and they'll drop people off. So I had one day where I'm like, have fun on your hike, have fun on your bike ride. And I cruised all day down the Danube. So please check these out because they go to different ports. So if you did the Rhine, this one's a little bit different because it goes to some different places. So these are all the active in discovery. It's on every river, the Danube, the Rhine, the Rhone, Holland and Belgium, the Seine, and then the Moselle. We actually have a new one for next year, and it's the Lower Danube, which is what I'm doing next week, which goes from Budapest to Bucharest, but we'll have an active and discovery on that for next year. So these are themed sailings. Our most popular one, believe it or not, are the beer cruises. So we have Oberammergau, which is a big passion play in 2022. It's this year from May through September. We still have some availability for Avalon and our land tours. And the Floriade, that is a big, almost like the World's Fair, and that is going on in the Netherlands this year. So a lot of nice themed sailings. So this is a good time to talk about our promotions. So did you want to discuss the promotions, or would you like me to talk about the great deals?
You can go over. I'm super excited about it, but go ahead. Let's get it from the
Okay, so we have a promotion for you guys. Any of our Avalon sailings have a promotion, but there are selected dates where we are going to give you another $500 off per person. So I looked, some of the sailings have $399 air plus $750 off. Some of them have $399 air plus $1,000 off, but you will get another $500 off per person, and it's valid for 2 weeks from today. So you just get with the agency and they'll help you out and kind of steer you to which sailing. They have a list of all the sailings that have the dates with this deal. Also, if you want to book something else, whether it's Globus or Cosmos or Monograms, it's another $50 off per person. But if you want to do a river cruise, they can help you find a date that has a really good promotion. I would definitely take advantage of this now. Usually at this time of the year, we are sold out. But things did slow down a little bit with Omicron and then what's going on in Ukraine. So take advantage of this time and that there is space and we have these deals, because as soon as this is behind us, these deals will not be out there. So, you know, take advantage of them while they're here. And then if you guys have any questions.
Yeah, I really appreciate you giving us that promotion, and I would have messed it up because I didn't know it was 500 per person. I just thought it was 500 period, just off the
see, there you go.
So that's amazing. Learn something. Well, thank you so much. I don't think we have any questions at this moment. They always come later most of the time.
Okay.
But I love this, and I'm liking that the U.S. stuff right now, because a lot of people, they're either haven't traveled in a long time and they're just kind of inching back. We always have our hardcore people that will go anywhere, but concentrating on the U.S., I feel like we're getting a lot more inquiries about the U.S. and especially stuff like the off the beaten path. Like you said, you've been to a lot of places like Alaska, you were mentioning, that you really need to do the land stuff and something different. Being closer to home helps people financially, you know what I mean? And takes a little bit of anxiety out of it. And as far as Avalon goes, super impressed with that. That's absolutely
cool. Thank you. You know, it's funny, you're talking about off the beaten path. So in September, I was saying to my mom, you know, do you want to go anywhere? And I have always wanted to go to Mackinac Island in Michigan. Never been. And, you know, this tour was amazing. We flew into Detroit. We did the Henry Ford Museum, which I have to say was one of the best museums I've ever been to.
Oh, wow.
And we did Petoskey, Charlevoix, Traverse City, Dearborn, Chicago, and we were in Mackinac for 2 nights. And Frankenmuth, we went to the big Christmas store, and it was amazing. And I got back, and my neighbors were like, well, where were you? I'm like, Mackinac. They're like, is that a Caribbean island somewhere? I'm like, no, it's Michigan. So there is so much here in our backyard. I mean, we have tours that do fall foliage. Yeah, so definitely. If you guys are looking at something in the U.S., book it soon, because we are filling up very fast.
I believe it. I like the short and sweet cruises too. I think that can appeal to maybe a younger crowd that can't afford to go that long. So you don't have to save all of your vacation for one. You know what I mean? Like, not everybody's retired and able to do things like that. So I think that's good to, and the active and discovery things too. Like, not everybody wants to work out when they're, but it's. I remember going to Vietnam. I would never normally book a bike tour, but I did. I booked one in Vietnam, and it was amazing. Something I would never normally do. But just going through, it's a different vibe.
It really is. I did the same thing in Vienna. I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this. And we saw so many things that you would not see on a regular tour.
So you have to see it on foot or just riding around. So
Yeah,
I
and
absolutely
we both survived, right?
exactly. And we're still allowed to tell the story. Do you have any
Exactly.
questions, Jennifer?
No, I know you mentioned you have some promotions for $3.99 air. And I think a lot of folks don't realize that we like to book the air with you, because when you do, you have the transportation that's included, and
Right.
you schedule the air usually 45 days out is when it's actually ticketed.
Ticketed, yep.
And so
You
when the
got it.
final payments due, that's normally when they're issuing the plane tickets. And if you choose to upgrade your seats, you can do it at that time. But also your insurance, air is such a tricky thing that
Right.
if you end up booking your air on your own and make a mistake and don't book the right days of the tour, then you could be stuck and have to get an additional night or meet up with the tour. So I like to tell people to package it together, as well
Right.
as your travel insurance. So that way it covers the whole thing all together, and it makes it so easy.
It does. And yeah, and that was actually one of my slides. We have you covered. I kind of passed over it because I didn't want to, go on too long. But yeah, I mean, you're covered, and at least, like you said, if everything is packaged together, it's on us to fix all of this.
And you can book a year out on your packages normally?
Yeah, well, you can actually book like 2 years out now. It's because we have some 2024 right now.
Oh, wow.
So I try to let people know that it's just an initial deposit, and then we'll take payments. So that way, they can do a monthly, or they don't have to pay it again until their final payment date. And this way they can take that dream vacation and, take the 2 weeks off and already have it planned on their schedule, and know why they go to work every day. That's the biggest thing, because they know in the end they got this great trip coming up.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Get that bucket list, right?
That bucket list item, and go ahead and put it on your calendar. So when you wake up every day, hey, I'm another day closer, to going to Vienna. Yeah.
Everybody needs something to look forward to.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got it.
Well, we definitely appreciate your time, Denise. Just a little housekeeping at the end. Exploring Dream Vacations does a show every single Thursday at 7 p.m. If you guys can't catch us live, we upload our YouTube video usually within 24 to 48 hours, so you can check us out there. And if you guys have any ideas for shows, things you want to see, destinations, resort, whatever it is, we are absolutely open for suggestions and would love that. So check us out there. And if you haven't liked us already on YouTube, please do so. And a couple things coming down the pipeline. We have just started our new shop called Son of the Beach Boutique. It's your one-stop vacation station, basically. You can get everything from luggage tags, resort wear, and I'm talking cute stuff, not anything. It's really, really good stuff. Hats, sunglasses, shirts with funny sayings on it, wallets, fanny packs, you name it, we have it. So we're trying to just be one stop. We have your shows. We have the business development managers that will come in and go over everything. It's not just me and Jennifer talking. These are the people that do this every single solitary day just for that company. So they're absolute experts on that. And then once you do that, we can go ahead and get your outfits, whatever you need. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And if you do not have your passport already, please get your passport for the love of God.
Make sure it's valid if you have one, right?
We'd be so surprised at the inquiries we get for international travel, although they want to leave in a month or two and they don't have a passport. So it takes a little bit regardless, but in COVID times, there's a backup, there's a backlog. So if you haven't done so already, or it's about to expire, please do so now. It will benefit you in the end.
Yeah, that's happening a lot. A lot of people are looking at their passports now and they're like, oh gosh, I didn't look at it for the last couple of years, and it expires in July. So it's like, you better get going. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's all I have, unless you guys have anything to add to it.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Thanks for being here. And we'll see you guys next week, next Thursday at 7 p.m. Thanks so much for joining us. Bye-bye.
Bye.